Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another video of this data engineering series. Uh, in this particular video, I'll be discussing about how the evolution of our warehouses to lake house has been. And before telling that, I think it would be fair enough for me to tell you that why we basically go for all such things which you can see on my screen, from left to right, from warehouses to lake house. So see, in the data engineering world, we basically see how to basically organize your data, how to keep your data. So it has some things around that only. We evolved from warehouses to lake houses to basically reduce the number of hops, like where we keep our data, and there were some other reasons for that as well, which I'll be covering it in this video. So okay, let's so without wasting much of the time, let's see what all warehouses, lakes, and lake house means. So okay, let's jump in here. So as you can see, I have created what is a lake house way, sorry, what's the warehouse way. So like you can see here, you can see, so we have all our sources like MySQL as our database, Kafka, Mongo, this is NoSQL. There could be some other of the sources present here as well, which I may not have listed. Some of the API based things, suppose Shopify's data is coming in, Facebook ads coming in. Okay, so you have some of your processing set up here, and you processing it in terms of, suppose you have something like ETL set up here for you. You're using some of the old tools. So by the way, before I tell you this whole technology, so this was somewhere in the late 90s or early 2000. Okay, like 90 to 2010. So we were using all that. So we were basically using this particular way to organize the data, because at that time there was no MPP system present, there was no evolution of Spark, there was no MapReduce, there was no big data world was there, in this particular era. And so in terms of ETL, we were using a lot of different tools like Informatica. Okay, I mean we do still use it, and one of them, suppose, is Warescape, which I have used. Okay, for doing the ETL. So we are using the very traditional way to pull the data. So there was a tool that actually pull the data, transform the data, and load it into some of the warehouses. So the warehouses present at that time was also, suppose, I was using something called as Teradata. Okay, so we were maintaining our enterprise data warehouses there. Okay, EDW. So we were maintaining it somewhere here, and so we were serving all our BI and visual reports from here. So from this whole complete picture from here to here, you could see, like it's a fairly simple architecture, but it had its own limitations. So as you can see on my right, so we were having few drawbacks, like we could not process any of the unstructured data. There was no ACID support. So if you don't know ACID support, so we nowadays we have uh, transactions getting stored in storages or warehouses in the form of ACID. Like what it means to for a database to store a transaction, it means same for any of the transaction to be stored in a warehouse as well. So there was no ACID support, okay, as such. Okay, suppose if we want to store something around files. Okay, obviously there were things like Teradata supports updates and ACID operations, but suppose if there was no warehouse in between. Okay, so warehouse is, consider it just like a term we basically use to represent some another database. Okay, so I still consider Teradata as a database at that point of time. Okay, so there was no as such rollbacks, was basically given. So if you basically insert the data, you have to manually go and delete it. Okay, so just a second. Yeah, So there was a lot of such drawbacks were there. But the major ones was we could not process a lot of unstructured and semi-structured data, which you can say images and videos, right? So this whole architecture was having its own limitations. So time uh, time uh, time got changed, and people came up with some different solution. So and then at that later point of time in somewhere around 2011 to 2015, we came up with something called as data lake technologies. I mean, we are still using it right now as well. Like the architecture that I build, I still basically use this technology. I basically use a combination of data lake and the lake house technologies. Depends what situation you are into. So the data lake similarly has different sources. I have my DB, I have my Kafka, I have Mongo, NoSQL, any other blah blah sources. So again, you have some of your ETL job setting here to basically pull data, and suppose we are basically storing it supposed to HDFS. So by this time HDFS was already there, and yeah, either it could be S3 as well. Okay, so I mean, I'll not go what is going under the hood of this particular layer, because this is not the topic of discussion for this video. If you want, I can make another video what goes behind the hood. So you the data flows here, batch, streams, whatever. So inside you basically maintain zones out of it, like how curated your data is. Suppose if the data of the quality, so suppose if the data quality resides somewhere here, you give it some zone. There is some different zone which has some more refined data, then there is some aggregated data. Okay, so uh, the lot of abstraction goes under this particular layer. I'm happy to discuss, make a video on this particular block as well. So you basically have everything residing on HDFS or S3. So now the interesting part comes here is, and by the way, the data lake means you're basically inserting everything into your lake, whether it's duplicates, whether it's any form of, so like all the raw data. Like if you have heard about the terms, I know if you are coming to this video, you may have heard few of the terms like raw data and images, okay, videos. So all such data is present right now here, which was not being stored in the above architecture. Okay, the traditional warehouse way. Now we basically moved between onto this era, 2011 to 2015. I mean, I'm just giving you a context, like what was happening at what time. So uh, so warehousing solution is just like we are using another MPP, okay, to basically do uh, a lot of heavy query processing. Okay, and so we used to have a lot of different connectors when we have some of the warehouse solution. So like suppose one of the MPP is, suppose Redshift, okay, BigQuery, okay. So like and trust me, I found this architecture like really good. And so moreover, over top of whatever data you store, you basically have, you can use some of the other storage systems as well. Suppose I can use Delta or Hoodie. Okay, if you have not heard of these terms, please comment to the below section, so I can create another video on just for this block. I know it may be a bit confusing for you, but uh, for this video at least, I'll not be diving deep much into it. So we were having our MPP systems querying S3 or HDFS, and then we were using visualization on top of our warehousing solution. Like I have used like Superset for it, and everything worked perfect for me. So it served all my cases, and whatever drawbacks the above solution was having. So you could see here this monkey is happy, right? So yeah, this is the lake way, and now you could see there are still some more boxes you know. But honestly, at this architecture, I don't feel there is any such problem around this architecture. It depends uh, what is in your head, what are the use cases you're planning. Different you know use cases may call for different solution, but for sure your solution would be lying under the second or the third one, which will be discussing now. Now let's consider the lake house way. So the lake house way is just something like the above architecture, but everything is stored here. Okay, but there is no specific warehousing solution present here. Okay, I mean it is present, but it is present internally. It has been made abstracted from you. Okay, so the we are basically stored. So under this particular box, we are basically so there is something called as we are storing our data, we are storing our metadata, and we do have another query processing layer as well. Okay, generally like this concept is basically provided by Databricks. So they are right now providing something like Photon. This is a faster way to access it, and moreover the second and third architecture remains almost same. The thing is, rather than going for multiple warehousing solution on different platforms, so everything is provided on a single platform. So the biggest advantage is a single platform for everything. So basically they are trying to reduce your work. It's a good way, but until and unless you have made this journey, you won't understand what's going behind this. So yeah, so right now nowadays a lot of engineering tools are coming up, a lot of data engineering things are happening, but it's some ways gets hard to actually understand what's going behind the hood. So I hope this video would have helped you. And if you still see this is the actual journey. So I was actually talking about this diagram throughout this video. uh, I hope you would have liked it, and so please like and subscribe for more such videos. I'll be expecting some comments as well for the feedback. So thank you so much for joining. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.